It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Myrtle Beach Pelicans Assistant General Manager of Sales. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on, Brandon. Appreciate it.
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to work in minor league professional baseball?
So I wasn't really sure exactly where I wanted to end up in professional sports. I think originally I'm a big NFL guy. So starting out, I always wanted to, work for the Ravens. I'm a huge Baltimore fan. Thought that would be really cool. And just kind of through different jobs and people knowing people, ended up here in Myrtle Beach and really love it. And I don't think I'll ever leave minor league baseball. I'm not a huge big person. I don't like to wear a suit and tie. And I think as you get to know a lot more about the industry, there's not much actually watching the game or really paying attention when things are going on. So I really love watching Ravens football, and working in it probably wouldn't be the same. So
that's pretty funny. What was it like being the head squad coach for the baseball part?
I really enjoyed coaching my high school baseball team. Baseball's been a huge part of my life, and there's been a lot of coaches throughout my career that have really made a huge impact on me as a person, and not only, that, but also the game, and really helped me a ton playing. So I was really looking forward to returning the favor and trying to help people out on the way. Coaching that team those couple of years was one of the funnest things I've ever done, and I miss it greatly. Having an impact on young people and being around young people in general gives you a ton of energy. So I love that. I would do that 10 million times over.
Of course, as you talked about, you're not a big baseball fan. What was it like going to the Major League Baseball as a player associate?
Yeah, so working for Baseball Players Alumni Association, I was in the memorabilia. So I would work with our team to sell autographed memorabilia items through an email database where we had collected people who were interested in memorabilia and collected a lot. So we would bring in new items and then email that out to our database as we were able to bring in new items with new offerings. And that was our focus. The Alumni Association's goal is to grow the game of baseball, and they do a ton of camps around the country and the world that are free for kids to learn how to play the game. And they bring in alumni that are from those areas to teach the kids and around the world. So our job was to generate revenue to help fund those opportunities and those missions and goals.
What was it like to, of course, see the memorabilia and the former players that obviously have signed stuff?
There was some really cool things in there. I mean, there was a bat that we had that was called the Kings of Baseball bat, and I'll probably never forget that one, but it had all the milestones. So the, home run leader, games played, and all these different categories, strikeouts. So you had just incredible lists of a super accomplished, players, and getting to see all that stuff is pretty awesome. The warehouse that we had, we always have to go down once at least twice a year to everything, make sure our quantities are all correct, and counting through just hundreds and hundreds of baseballs and bats and jerseys was ridiculous. But it was really cool to see that warehouse and, be a part of all that. I enjoyed it a ton.
Of course, while you were working there, was there any players that you looked up to or saw that you were like, oh my God, I'm seeing his autograph?
Let's see. I think for me, being a Baltimore sports fan, Cal Ripken Jr. was always a cool autograph to see, and anything Baltimore related was always exciting. I only really met one player while I was working there. I was in San Francisco where I would travel around the country and set up these silent auctions at different stadiums with all kinds of different memorabilia. And I just happened to be in San Francisco for one, and was there for about a week. And I was asked to go meet up with Vita Blue at his restaurant across the street to get a ton of items signed. And he was a great guy, super down to earth, and we spent a couple hours eating some dinner and getting some baseballs and bats signed, and just hearing his story and talking. And it was really good time. A nice guy.
Of course, while working there, was there any major Yankee players that you were like, oh my God, like Derek Jeter might have signed something?
Yeah, I mean, we had stuff, from every team you can imagine. I'm not a big Yankee fan. Being from Baltimore, I think they're basically our arch nemesis and ruin our life as a Baltimore fan. But Mike Trout is an exclusive partner with the Alumni Association, so he only signs for them. And there's a lot. That was probably the biggest seller that we had. Obviously, I mean, being the best player in baseball and having a ton of his stuff around was really cool to see. He would sign anything from cleats to jerseys. People would send stuff in and have us sign it for him. It was pretty wild.
What was it like working for the Good Year Ballpark?
I really enjoyed it. That was my first real, I guess, experience where I was making outbound sales calls. So I'd sold stuff, Major League Baseball Players Alumni Association, but a lot of that was email based, or people calling in to talk to us about different things that we have available. Goodyear and working for Tanika Smith, she gave me my first opportunity to really make outbound sales calls, and that was my first go at it. So cold calling and trying to understand how partnerships work and sponsorships work in stadium, and being creative with those people to brainstorm and come up with some new ideas to help make an impact on their business and drive people and revenue. And that was really exciting for me. I'm very focused on being able to measure my success, and I think that's really why I enjoy sales, because you close a big deal and your success is right there in front of you with the dollar amount. So I really appreciate being able to track revenue and generate revenue is a passion of mine.
What was it like for you from going from the league office of the MLB and working there to working with, of course, the Myrtle Beach Pelicans?
Yeah, I think I've gotten to see a couple different areas, and once I was, the Alumni Association was great. It was really cool. It was very focused on baseball and the history of baseball and the players. And it was exciting, but I knew I wanted to, see what it was like to work at a stadium at a ballpark. And when I got to Goodyear and we had, 30 games in 30 days, just packed spring training schedule, and seeing people coming in and out of the ballpark and being around that, I loved it. And, that's why I wanted to stay in a stadium and in that setting. And I was lucky enough that my boss in Goodyear was able to connect me with Andy Milovich at the time in Myrtle Beach. And they offered me a job to, come out there and try my hand at selling some baseball tickets, and packed up and moved out to Myrtle Beach from there.
What was your roles as the corporate marketing manager?
Yeah, so as a corporate marketing manager, I was focused on B2B sales in the ticket space for the Pelicans. So anything from, mini plans to season tickets to suites and hospitality areas. And through those conversations, sponsorship becomes, a topic. And when that happened, I was able to start working my way into the sponsorship side. And that's really what I the creativity in this partnership space is top of the line, and being able to work with businesses to find ways to bring them in the ballpark and have some fun engaging our fans is what I love. So that really gave me the taste to try to jump over on the partnership side as much as possible.
What is the process like of working with all of these local businesses out in Myrtle Beach to bring them into the ballpark?
Yeah, it's fun. You're reaching out to these businesses and these business owners who, have put their life, this is their life's work, right? They've built this business, a lot of them from scratch and from nothing, and they built it into, very successful business that they want to hand down to their family and be in their be in their family for generations. So talking to them about how they got there and where they want to go and what their goals are, that's really what the process is learning as much as possible about their business so that we can make an educated pitch to them as why they should use our ballpark and what areas of our ballpark makes sense for them to hit their goals and grow their business and ultimately have our fans become fans of their business as well. So the process kind of starts with that initial conversation and meeting, and you grow that relationship and try to understand where they want to go with their business. And then we ultimately put together an idea that we think will make sense and go from there.
What was it like for you from going from being a director of sales to now where you are now as a as general manager of sales?
Yeah, I think, the biggest part is juggling a lot of different things, right? When you're just on the sales side of things, you only need to focus on, generating revenue and those outbound calls. And I'm still very much focused on that, but it's also, managing people, managing a department and making sure we're hitting our revenue numbers and monitoring those goals and coming up with ways to, always increase our sales and increase our revenue. And that comes with just, being creative and making sure we're holistically looking at our business in each and every deal. So I think that's probably the biggest thing is you're still very focused on sales and selling, but you also need to be kind of looking at the future and analyzing and, finding opportunities within the business and helping your sales team be as successful as possible.
What are some similarities and differences as a assistant general manager of sales when it comes to merchandise sales versus like tickets and food sales?
Yeah, so I think that really, really comes out in, minor league baseball and sports in general. We're all focused on the same goal, generating as much revenue as possible. So there's a lot of times where our partnerships leak over into merchandise or food and beverage, where we're bringing in I guess, for example, we have a local bar in town called Riptides, super popular place, multi 3-story, bar and restaurant on the ocean, beautiful place. They sell these massive mason jars full of, different mixed drinks. And through our partnership with them, we bring those jars into the ballpark where people can purchase them in stadium and enjoy them. And then, ultimately make their way back to Riptides to have them on the beach. So I think, being creative in that space, you end up working with, merch. Guys and food and beverage and all aspects.
Of course, what are some of your popular merchandise that you have sold?
Yeah, I think our most popular by far, the Palmetto State line. That's been super popular. We essentially took the South Carolina flag and put our own spin on it and made it our own. And I believe when we first released that was the most popular. They're the highest selling hat in New Era's collection at the time when we first launched it. It was sold all over the country. Everybody was a huge fan. And then I guess my favorite and probably second favorite or second best selling is our pirate logo. That was started out of just kind of a staff culture type thing, and then leaked its way out into the public where we are now wearing it on field.
What is it like to see, obviously, your merchandise sold international and domestically, where obviously fans like maybe in North Carolina, California are also wearing Myrtle Beach Pelicans versus just staying, of course, in South Carolina?
Yeah, it's really cool, and I think it goes to show the strength of minor league baseball as a whole. The brand and all the teams do an incredible job not only creating fun environments and incredible baseball around the country and the world, but also these really cool creative branding ideas and merchandise where, you have people all over the world wearing Myrtle Beach Pelicans gear and Lehigh Valley Iron Pig stuff and, all kinds of different stuff. All the teams just put together some incredible merch and come up with different names and rebrands. And it just goes crazy on the internet and around the world. And it's always cool when you're traveling to see that represented. And you even see it in our ballpark where people are showing up with Danville Otterbots hats and, Iron Pigs logos and Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp hoodies and hats. So it's just really cool to see.
What is a typical game day like for you?
Yeah, so a game on the sales side, and for us especially, we're going and visiting our season ticket holders, our mini plan folks, and the folks that are in the suites and using our hospitality areas that night. So it's a lot of, continually building that relationship, making sure their experience is where it needs to be, and hearing about where we may be able to improve. Our season ticket holders are there every single night, so they're probably watching us more than anybody and can tell us, that's where some of our best ideas come from, where, they just come to you with one little thing, you take that and talk to the team and make an adjustment and add another awesome benefit for your fans. So
what is something that you learn now that you didn't know before working in professional sports?
For me, I think it's mainly because I've come up through the sales side. I was super shy, I think, before I got into sports and didn't get out of my comfort zone. And being in sales has really forced me to get outside my comfort zone and have conversations with people and get to know them and learn as much as I can about their business. I've always been passionate about business, but I don't think I would ever just randomly call somebody to start having a conversation. So being in sales, that's literally my job, where I just have to call people and reach out to people and make connections that I've never met or never, talked to before. And I think that's a super valuable skill that anybody can have. If you're able to have a conversation with somebody and just spark that up and get to know them and be a conversationalist, I think that's something that's a little bit of a lost art a little bit.
What advice would you give people looking to get into professional sports?
I think the biggest piece of advice that I would give somebody is to really go for the specific role and experience that you're looking for. I think too many times people say, oh, well, just get your foot in the door. It doesn't matter the position. That's not true. If you want to work in social media for a sports team, then you really need to do everything you can to find somebody who will give you that first chance, whether it's a volunteer or an internship or whatever that first position is, to be in that specific part of the business. I think too many times people say, well, I'm just going to take this concessions job so I can get my foot in the door and then I'll work my way over to the other side. Well, that's not really the best strategy. I think you should really focus for trying to get that first position, whether it's an internship or volunteering, in the specific part of the business that you'd ultimately like to be in.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media along with the Myrtle Beach Pelicans app?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at Dr. Cannella. And then, on myrtlebeachpelicans.com, my contact info is there as well. And then, yeah.
Thank you again, Ryan Cannella, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with the Myrtle Beach Pelicans as the Assistant General Manager of Sales.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandon.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Ryan, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.